Welcome and good afternoon. This is Commish Orr, and today we're going to do something a little different. I don't normally broadcast the games. I did that in the first round because it was a game five, but I had some time and figured I would broadcast the game today between the 1934 New York Giants and the 1931 St. Louis Cardinals. This is a continuation of my Best of the Decades tournament. It's the 1930s. And you can see the AL and NL seeding on the screen. We do have two teams that were eliminated. The 1939 Boston Red Sox and the 1938 Pittsburgh Pirates have been eliminated. And so we are into the first real round. That was the play-in round. Teams that lose in the best of five series in this round will actually drop down the losers bracket. So the teams have to lose two series in order to be out of the tournament. I do have a different audio setup today. I'm traveling, so if the audio sounds a little different than normal, that would be the reason why. But hopefully you can still hear everything okay and see everything. And of course, we are using season ticket baseball in order to play these games. So, as I mentioned, we are in the first real round here. So let's take a look at what else happened in the first round. We had the Washington Nationals playing the number one seeded 1939 New York Yankees. And in this one, the Yankees actually took a 3-1 lead into the seventh, thanks to actually one really good inning, the fourth inning here, where they scored a couple of runs, thanks to 4 straight base hits against General Crowder of the Washington Nationals, or Washington Senators, whichever you prefer. And so they took a 3-1 lead into the seventh, but that was when Ossie Bluage hit a 2-run homer to tie the game. That was against Red Ruffing, the New York Yankees starter. Ruffing actually stayed into the ninth when Joe Kuehl hit a solo shot to lead off that ninth inning and give Washington the lead, 4-3 lead, which was all they would need as Jack Russell came in the bottom of the ninth to close things out for Washington. The Yankees would get one base runner aboard thanks to a walk, but that was all they could muster there. And Washington wins this one 4-3, despite only having 5 base hits. That being said, Red Ruffing did walk 6 batters. Meanwhile, General Crowder allowed 3 earned runs in his 8 innings of work, and he picks up his second win of the tournament. Proves to 2-0. This was the Yankees' first game since they had that first round bye, if you will. But surprisingly, Washington takes game 1 against a heavily favored Yankees team. The other American League game was between the 1935 Detroit Tigers and the 1931 Philadelphia Athletics. And once again, we had the lower seeded team win. This one thanks to a late rally by the Tigers. Philadelphia actually scored in the first inning. Mule Haas had a triple and scored on a ground out by Mickey Cochran. Interesting to note that Mickey Cochran was playing for each of these teams today. He played for the 35 Detroit Tigers and the 31 Philadelphia Athletics. So he was catching for both teams in this game. And they scored another run in the 6th. Thanks to a double, an RBI double from Jimmy Fox. That put them up 2-0 heading into the 8th inning. Lefty Grove was cruising into the 8th inning, actually. Meanwhile, Tommy Bridges from Detroit had given up a couple of runs, 10 hits. And Lefty Grove just looked like he was just cruising. He had a shutout heading into the 8th. And actually had only allowed a few hits to that point. Looks like 3 hits into the 8th inning. He struck out G. Walker to lead off the 8th inning, then allowed back-to-back singles to JoJo White and Marv Owen before Pete Fox cleared the bases with a double in the gap. That tied things up 2-2. When Mickey Cochran followed that with a single, that was enough to pull Lefty Grove from the game. But Eddie Rommel could not hold that lead or hold that tie, and allowed base hits, RBI base hits to Charlie Gehringer and Hank Greenberg to put Detroit on top 4-2. And they would not, that would be a lead they would not give up, as Detroit takes this one with that score of 4-2. Tigers did turn 3 double plays in this one, which was enough to end some of those chances that Philadelphia may have had. But once again, we had the higher seeded team fall to a lower seeded team here in the American League. Finally, we head over to Chicago as the top seeded 1935 Chicago Cubs took on the 1939 Cincinnati Reds, who had to overcome the Pirates to get here. And in this one, very high-scoring game. The Reds got on the board first in the first inning. Frank McCormick has been just on a tear this tournament. He drove in 2 runs with a single in the first to put Cincinnati on top 2-0. Then in the third, he grounded out to score another run. They would score another run in the fourth, thanks to a sac fly. They actually had the bases loaded with no outs, but could only muster 1 run there, which came back to haunt them a little bit. So they took a 4-0 lead into the bottom of the fourth, but that's when Chicago decided to get their offense rolling. Actually, there was a leadoff single, and then Bucky Walters walked the bases loaded with the next 2 batters. Freddie Lindstrom cleared those bases with a triple to score 3 of those runs, and another run would score on an error later in the inning to tie things up 4-4. Then in the 6th, Billy Herman really blew things open with a 3-run homer after another walk by Bucky Walters there in the 6th. That put Chicago up 7-4 at that point. They would get one of those runs back in the 8th. Bill Lee for the Cubs pitched 7 innings, allowed 12 hits, 5 earned runs, and ended up coming out of the game there in the 8th inning. But that was really the last of the Cincinnati Reds' damage. Still down 7-5 heading into the bottom of the 8th when Johnny Vandermeer was let down again by the defense of the Reds, as I believe was at the inning. That was Myers, actually. Billy Myers made an error to lead off that inning, and that would be enough as Freddie Lindstrom singled. Couple of sacrifices in a row to score 1 run, and then 3 straight base hits to score a couple more runs after what would have been the end of the inning without that error. So 3 unearned runs there in the 8th to give the Cubs a 10-5 lead and a 10-5 victory in this one. So Chicago takes game 1 of the series with the Reds, which brings us to today's game between the Cardinals and the Giants. This takes place in Sportsman's Park, and the die rolls told me that it's a hot game today, comparatively speaking, for September at least. 78 degrees on this September 8th evening. We did not have any rain. Still cloudy out there, and the 15 says that wind is blowing in from right field, so that may affect some of the balls hit to right and center today. So with all that said, let's take a look at the starting lineups for these two teams. On the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals is Bill Hallahan. He was 19-9 that year with a 3.29 ERA in his 30 starts. And he will face this lineup for the Giants. In left field and leading off will be JoJo Moore. Second will be Huey Kritz playing second base. Bill Terry at first base. Mel Ott in the cleanup spot in right field. Travis Jackson batting fifth and playing shortstop. Lefty O'Doul will be the DH today. I am using the DH for both of these teams. I know the DH wasn't around back in the 30s, but we are using the DH in this tournament. George Watkins will be playing center field and batting 7th. Gus Mancuso will be catching and batting 8th. And Blondie Ryan will be playing third base and batting 9th for the Giants. For the Cardinals, Giants will have Carl Hubble on the mound. Hubble will face this lineup for the Cardinals. Sparky Adams will be playing third base and leading off. George Watkins in right field. You may have seen George Watkins is also playing for the Giants here too. Frankie Frisch will be batting third and be playing second base. Jim Bottomley will be DHing in the cleanup spot. Chick Hafey will be batting 5th in left field. Pepper Martin will be in center, batting 6th. Ripper Collins will be batting 7th at first base. Charlie Gilbert will be at short, batting 8th. And Jimmy Wilson will be catching for the Cardinals today. All right, I am using fairly historical lineups for these teams, other than, as I said, the DH thrown in there, which kind of modifies things a little bit. But for the most part, these are fairly historical lineups, if you were wondering. I have my little defensive cheat sheets here. I have the cards ready. So let's get started with the first pitch as JoJo Moore faces off against Bill Hallahan. 132, and that's going to be a redirect, a 332, which is going to be an infield single to lead off for JoJo Moore to start things off. 19 means he will probably not be going anywhere. Wilson has an arm of 6, and so that's speed isn't going to be high enough, and steal isn't going to be high enough, or the die roll isn't going to be low enough, I should say. So JoJo Moore doesn't go anywhere. Runner on first with no outs. I am using the auto manager, by the way. The bunt threshold would be a 1 in this case, and 7 minus 6 is a 1, so Kritz is actually going to bunt here in the first inning. 14 plus the bunt rating is 21. So let's see what happens with that. Bunt 21, and that is a sack, 3-4. Batter out, all runners advance. So we have a sacrifice hit here. We'll advance more. Be a 3-4 put out here as Collins flips it to Frisch there to get Kritz at first base. So we have a runner in scoring position for Bill Terry, a couple of Hall of Famers here coming up in the order. 242. And a 242 will be a strikeout from Callahan. Callahan sends Terry back to the bench. That's his first strikeout of the game, of course, and his second out of the inning, which brings up Mel Ott. 621, that is a stadium check here. And a 621 will be a fly out to center. That will end the inning as Martin ranges back to haul that one in. And just like that, the Giants are retired in the first. We head to the bottom of the first. Sparky Adams will be facing off against Carl Hubble to lead things off. 163 will be a pop-up on the infield. And we have Kritz ranging back to get that one. Hauls it in for out number 1. George Watkins. By the way, this is only my 13th game maybe, so if I make some mistakes, chalk it up to umpire mistakes. Oh, 699, and that's the home team is hitting here. It's going to be a 709. I'm sure that's a deep drive. It is deep center field. 8 plus Watkins does have some power. That's a 15, -1 from the wind for the wind blowing in, makes it a 14. Deep center field 14. Not deep enough though, as Watkins ranges back to catch his own his own hit in this one. And that brings up Frankie Frisch. And that's another stadium check, a 678 in this case. 678 on the stadium. Actually, is going to be a base hit. So Frankie Frisch gets the first base hit for the Cardinals here. And let's take a look and see if he is going. Speed isn't going to be high enough, but the 4 here is less than the steal rating. I'm using the auto manager here. And if we look, 2 outs, run around first. Maybe D20 is lower than the steal rating, which it is in this case. It is lower than the steal rating. So let's see if there is a lead. 9 plus the steal rating. His steal is 5. That's a 14. And he will not get a lead, as Carl Hubbell's hold rating is a 6. That's a 16. He needed a 16 or more. His pickoff rating is a 0, so there's no pickoff here involved. And there's no overthrow. So Frisch will stay put in this case because he couldn't get a good lead. Jim Bottomley steps in. 560. That's going to be an easy ground out to Travis Jackson at short. In fact, he will flip it over to Kritz at second for the 3rd out of the inning. And we head to the top of the 2nd. Score is still tied 0-0. And Travis Jackson steps in against Hallahan. 610. A lot of stadium checks today. 610 is going to be another pop-up on the infield as Frisch hauls that one in easily for out number 1. Lefty O'Doul. 550. That's a third base defense check, and that's an easy grounder to Adams, who takes it over to Collins for out number 2. George Watkins steps in. Another defense check, a 525, is going to be a pop-up to the catcher, and that's in foul territory. Wilson ranges under that one and hauls it in for out number 3. 3 up, 3 down as we head to the bottom of the 2nd. Carl Hubbell facing Chick Hafey here. Another 602 becomes a 612. That's not going to be high enough for anything. No, it is not. And that is going to be a pop-up again on the infield. Kritz hauls that one in for out number 1. Pepper Martin. 148. 148 on the pitcher's card is another pop-up on the infield. Kritz is getting plenty of activity here. That's out number 2. Ripper Collins steps in. 366. And once again to Kritz. This time he will toss it over to first for out number 3. 3 up, 3 down, and we head to the 3rd inning. Still no score. Gus Mancuso steps in against Hallahan. 399. That one's deep, and that one is out of here. Mancuso takes that one deep and over the wall for the first run of the game as New York jumps out in front 1-0 here. Blondie Ryan steps in. 423. That's going to be an easy grounder to short. Gelbert over to Collins for the first out. Hallahan just left that one up in the zone a little bit. Didn't quite hit the spot he was aiming for. JoJo Moore, leadoff batter for the Giants. 255. And he strikes him out. Hallahan recovering nicely after that home run. Huey Kritz steps in. 2 down, nobody on. 388. And that's going to be a base hit. Hallahan not able to get quite out of this one with no more damage done here. Crits rounds first and holds up. He's not going to go anywhere. Bill Terry, who struck out in his first at bat. 637, stadium check. And that one is a grounder to third. That will be the end of the inning. And we head to the bottom of the third. New York now up 1-0 in this one. Hubble will face Gelbert. 474. And that is, Hubble's a lefty, so that's going to be a grounder to short. And Jackson throws over to Terry for out number 1. Jimmy Wilson steps in. 555, that's a defense check to third base, and that will be another easy ground out. This time Ryan throws over to Terry. And we're back to the top of the order for the Cardinals. Sparky Adams. 493. And that is a fly out, somewhat deep to center field, but Watkins hauls that one in. And another 3-up, 3-down inning for Hubble. Mel Ott steps in. We're top of the fourth here. Giants with a 1-0 lead. 197. That's going to be a bloop base hit just over the infield as Mel Ott gets on first here. He is not going anywhere. And Jackson swinging away. 254. It's another strikeout for Hallahan. His third of the game here. And brings up lefty O'Doul. 396. And O'Doul takes this one deep. Once again, Hallahan just not quite hitting his spot there with that one. And suddenly the Giants have a 3-0 lead in this one. As O'Doul rounds the bases here. Giants showing some power in this game. That brings up George Watkins. Hallahan will do his best to shake that off. And that's an easy fly out to Watkins in right, as one Watkins to another. For out number 2. Mancuso steps in. He's the one that got things going last inning with his solo shot. 551, but this time he misses and grounds that one to Adams at third. Throws over to Collins for out number 3, but not before 2 more runs for the Giants. They now have 3 runs on 5 hits. And we go to the bottom of the fourth. Cardinals still looking to get on the board. Watkins steps in against Hubble. 185, and that is going to be a liner. But Terry's right there to snag it. And that's out number 1. Frankie Frisch steps in. 656 with home team batting. 656. And that's going to be a bloop base hit. Frisch had the first base hit for the Cardinals in the first inning. And he gets the second base hit for the Cardinals here in the fourth. He will not be going anywhere. And that brings up Jim Bottomley, the cleanup hitter. 487. That's going to be a deep fly out. But Watkins hauls that one in. And Frisch has to return to first base here. Brings up Chick Hafey here. 2 outs, man on first. That's another stadium check. 677 in this case. 677, and that's going to be another base hit, this time for Hafey, and Frisch will advance to third on that one. Actually, is that right? Let me just double check that. Single plus plus. Long single. Yep. Well, he'll advance to third on that one. So we have runners on the corners. Cardinals threatening here in the fourth. Hafey isn't going anywhere, especially with 2 outs, and Pepper Martin steps in. 434. Unfortunately, that is going to be a grounder to third, and Ryan will throw that one over to first for out number 3. So Cardinals threaten a little bit, but not able to get anything, not able to get any scoring going here. So top of the 5th inning, and Blondie Ryan steps in, bottom of the Giants order. 464. That's going to be an easy grounder to second base. And Frisch over to Collins for out number 1. Does get us back to the top of the Giants order as JoJo Moore steps in. He's 1 for 2 today. He did strike out in his last at bat. 494. And that's going to be a deep fly ball, but does stay in the stadium here as Martin ranges under it for the second out of the inning. Kritz steps to the plate. 2 down, nobody on. 216. That's going to be a redirect to 416. And that's an easy grounder for the third out as Gelbert throws over to first for out number 3. 3 up, 3 down. So Hallahan recovering nicely after allowing those couple of home runs, at least in that inning. We head to the bottom of the 5th here as Hubble will step in against Ripper Collins. We have a foul out to the catcher. Mancuso under this one, and that will be out number 1. Charlie Gelbert steps to the plate. 695. That's going to be something. 695. That's a triple. Gelbert hits that one in the gap, and he slides into third with a triple. Cardinals with another shot to score here as there's only 1 down, and Gelbert's on third. Giants are playing straight up on this one with a 3-run lead as Hubble faces Wilson. 557. That's not going to be good. That is an error on Ryan. Gelbert kind of distracted Ryan a little bit on that one, and he bobbles it. So Gelbert's able to score on that play. And Wilson will be into first base there safely. That scores the first Cardinals run. Giants now lead. Their lead is cut to 3-1 here. Wilson's not going to go anywhere, and we are back to the top of the order first with Sparky Adams here. 427. And Hubble will get out of this one as that's an easy ground ball to short. Jackson to Kritz to Terry to end the inning. 6-4-3 double play. Oops. I just have to switch these around. I hit the wrong thing. 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. Not before the Cardinals do get one of those runs back. We head to the 6th. Giants still with a 3-1 lead, and Bill Terry steps in. 308, and he's going to strike out. Terry 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts now in this game. That is the 4th strikeout for Hallahan. Mel Ott, he singled in his last at bat. 6-11 should be good. 6-11 is a pop-up on the infield, and Frisch is under that one for out number 2. Travis Jackson, he's 0 for 2. He struck out in his last at bat. 6-0-2. And that's going to be a grounder to short Gelbert over to Collins for the third out. A 3 up, 3 down inning again for Hallahan. He's retired the last 8 batters he's faced after that 2-run shot from lefty O'Doul. Hubble will get to work against George Watkins here in the bottom of the 6th. 3-15, and he strikes him out. That is Hubble's first strikeout of the game, oddly enough. And brings up Frankie Frisch. 680 in this case. It's going to be probably a base hit. That's a clean single. And Frisch now is 3 for 3 in this game. He has 3 of the 5 Cardinals hits. Once again, Frisch is going to threaten here, as the 4 is less than his steal rating of 5. But let's see if he gets the lead. Oh, a 0-0. That's not good. So he's not going anywhere. Hubble's keeping a good eye on him. Jim Bottomley steps in. .256. .256, and that is going to be a double play as Jackson fields it, steps on second himself, and throws over to Terry. For the second and third out of the inning here. So once again, Cardinal momentum stopped by a double play, and we head to the 7th. Hallahan is a 7 stamina pitcher, as is Hubble. So this will be their last inning before any potential fatigue sets in. Lefty O'Doul, who had that big 2-run homer last at bat. 359. This time he flies out to left field, as Hafey under that one for out number 1. George Watkins steps in. 1 down, 5:31, and that's going to be another easy ground ball. Collins will take this one himself and brings up Mancuso, who's 1 for 2 with that solo shot in the 3rd inning. 409. That's an easy ground ball to Gelbert. Another 3 up, 3 down inning. Hallahan has now retired the last 11 batters he's faced. And we head to the bottom of the 7th. Cardinals still trying to get something going, though, against Hubble. Hafey steps in. 690. That's going to be a base hit, I'm sure. 690 is a double. It's a leadoff double. He is 2 for 3 today. Between him and Frankie Frisch, that's 5 of the 6 Cardinals hits. We'll see if they can get anything going. He's not going anywhere. Pepper Martin is going to be swinging away here, as Hubble looks to get out of this one. 184. And that is going to be a single that's going to score Hafey there. And just like that, we have a 1-run game. Pepper Martin's going to see if he can get a lead here, as his steal rating, this 1 here, is less than his steal rating. So 6 plus his steal, he probably won't. That's 11. No, Hubble holds him on. But Ripper Collins steps in. Hubble looking to get out of this one with no more damage done. 369. And once again, this time hit to second. Kritz takes it, steps on second, and throws to Terry for another double play. 4-4-3 in this case. Cardinals, Hubble's keeping the ball down, I guess, and that brings up Gelbert. Nobody on. 133. And that is a grounder back to the pitcher. Hubble throws over to first. And we are through 7. 3-2 game. Very close. As we head to the 8th. Hallahan will see if he can continue his run here. This time against Blondie Ryan. Bottom of the Giants order. You may take a look. I don't think they'll pinch hit. No. Nah, they will. They'll keep Ryan in there. 178. Well, it's a wild pitch, but in this case, no damage done. 264. And he is a righty. That's going to be a grounder to third. And Adams throws that one over to first for out number 1. Gets us back to the top of the order. JoJo Moore is 1 for 3 today with a strikeout and a base hit. 197. And that's going to be another base hit, a bloop single. So Moore breaks the streak. Hallahan had retired 12 straight to that point. He's not going to go anywhere. Does give Hallahan 1 level of fatigue. Huey crits. Rare play. Here we go. It's going to be a 132 rare play here. This could be interesting. Let's see. A runner on first. No, we do have 1 out, don't we? Yes. Runner on first with 1 out. Runner on first, 1 out. We're going to look at page 34. And the roll was a 132. 132. Okay, here we go. Hard ground ball up the middle. The shortstop fields and steps on second to force out the 1 runner. He now has to challenge the batter's speed. All right, so challenge. Batter's speed is, in this case, 3, 9. Well, there's no way 9 is going to be greater than 10 plus the arm. So that's going to be a double play to end the inning as Gelbert takes it himself and tosses over to Collins for a 6-6-3 double play here. And we're to the bottom of the 8th. Jimmy Wilson, who reached on error last time at bat. He's not going to be pinch hit for here because he does have a pretty good catching arm. And so Hubble, this will be the first chance of him receiving fatigue. 477. And that's going to be a grounder to third. Ryan over to Terry for out number 1. Cardinals trying to get another run to tie this game. They're back to the top of the order. Sparky Adams. That's going to be an easy fly out to center. Watkins under that one for out number 2. And now George Watkins on the Cardinals comes up. 238. And he's a lefty. That's going to be a pop-up on the infield, and Ryan under that one for out number 3. 3 up, 3 down. That's not what the Cardinals wanted there. They will have the heart of their order up in the 9th. Hallahan will be trying to close this one out. He only has 1 level of fatigue here heading into the 9th inning. He's allowed 3 runs on 6 hits. They do have some activity in the bullpen just in case. facing Bill Terry here to lead things off. 492. That is a deep fly out to center. Martin with enough room, though. And he hauls this one in for out number 1. Mel Ott steps to the plate. Ott is 1 for 3 in this one with a base hit. Or a single, and scored a run there in the 4th. 391. And that is another home run. Ott takes that one deep, and just like that, the Giants have given themselves a little bit more breathing room here. Hallahan just shaking his head there on the mound. He does have 2 levels of fatigue here, but he did have 16 complete games. Half of his starts were complete games. And the Cardinals this year did not have a deep bullpen. But that 3rd home run, they're going to bring in Jesse Haynes to get the final 2 outs here. Hallahan didn't really pitch too poorly, but just a couple mistakes. Couple mistakes in this one for him. Haynes' first batter to face will be Travis Jackson here. 305, and he strikes him out. It's Jackson's 2nd strikeout of the game. He's 0 for 4. And Lefty O'Doul steps in. He has a 2-run homer there in the 4th inning. Another rare play, 508. Nobody on, and let's see here, 508. 508. Well, this one is going to be just on the normal rare play charts. And the rare play in this case is a 527. Let's see what interesting thing happens here. 527. Double. Bases clearing, double to center field. If the blue die is higher than the center fielder's fielding, it's going to be a fielding error on the center fielder. So, center fielder in this case is Pepper Martin. Blue die is an 8. There's a good chance. There's a good chance that it is higher. And it is. His fielding was only a 6. Or no, excuse me, it'd be a 7. The 7 here. Still higher, so it's going to be a double and error. I think I have to do this one. I think I have to do this. Double, and runner advanced to 3rd. On an error, advanced to 3rd on an error. And then a runner reached 3rd base because of an error. And that was on the center fielder. All right. So just like that, Lefty O'Doul's on 3rd base. There are 2 out, as Haynes will look to try to get Watkins out to end this inning. 439. And he will, as that is an easy grounder to 2nd. Frisch over to Martin for out number 3. So, we head to the 9th. Hubble still doesn't have any fatigue. However, they will be getting some action up in the bullpen, as this is a very close game. Still, Cardinals have their work cut out for them. First batter he will face, Hubble will face, is Frankie Frisch, who's 3 for 3 today. 346. But he will not be 3 for 4, as that is an easy fly out to Moore in left for out number 1. Jim Bottomley. Cardinals down to their last 2 outs. 524, and that is a foul out to the catcher. Cardinals going quietly here in the 9th. Chick Hafey, he has 2, he's 2 for 3. He did score a run in his last at bat in the 7th. Hubble looking for the complete game. 159. And he will get it, as that is a pop-up on the infield. And that will be the end of the game. Hubble with the complete game win here. Hallahan gets the loss. And I guess if we had to give it player of the game, there are some options here. I mean, Lefty O'Doul was 2 for 4 with that 2-run shot here in the 4th. So probably would give it to him. New York Giants, 4 runs on 8 hits and 1 error. St. Louis Cardinals, 2 runs on 7 hits and 1 error. The Giants take this one in St. Louis. This is the first game for both of these teams. They'll play again tomorrow, still in St. Louis, before traveling back to the Polo Grounds that year for the Giants. So, if you want to follow the action, head over to baseballmaelstrom.com. You'll come up to the homepage. It looks like this. Does have the latest story and the latest game. It'll take me a little bit to type that up for today, for this game that we just finished. Down below here, you see another project that I have going on, the Payoff Pitch Season 2, that league. So the standings and such, and the schedule and scores here that you see on the front page are all for that. But if you click on Best of the 30s Tournament, you can get all of the write-ups for the Best of the 30s Tournament and the bracket itself, and a link to the stats. Stats I update every 4 games or so, so I'll be updating those as well, probably the next day or so, now that we played the first 4 games of round 1. So be looking for those. Let me know down below what you thought of this game. If it had any surprises for you. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have a great evening.